versus part B. The really foolproof way to plan for this is to go back to the marking scheme. Okay, you know part B is 15 marks, which is 10 plus 5. I kept going back to this, right? And I said a 10-mark answer requires balance. Okay, which means two sides. You need content rigor. Okay, hi. So when we say content rigor, that means you need definitions. Okay, you probably need diagrams. You need explanation, and then you need to furnish some examples. Okay, that's insofar as content is concerned. Okay, and then the last one is about the use of context. What is specific to the question? Okay, so this could be in the preamble, this could be somewhere else. Something that's really specific to the question. Okay, and E, evaluation. Evaluation, we will still talk about the framework, right? We've been talking a lot about this, we'll do that later. Okay. Whereas part A, all right, if I do a BCC plus evaluation here, okay, BCC evaluation, part A, there's no balance, there's no evaluation. Okay. So if a question really wants to test us on price discrimination, right, and I should say third degree PD, okay, if it comes out in part A, okay, content, context, I can tell you what to expect in red. Okay, you are going to get a preamble. Okay, the preamble will describe a certain pricing practice. Alright, so you're supposed to apply your understanding of price discrimination to whatever is in the preamble. Okay, the parts in blue are independent of topic. Whether you are looking at microecons or even macroecons, the parts in blue still apply. But the parts in red are topic specific. Okay, then this part, definition, diagram, explanation, examples. Good news is that for third degree PD, the diagram is not in the syllabus anymore. Okay. Third degree PD diagrams have been phased out, okay, of the syllabus. We don't really need the diagram. Okay? Okay? So we are really looking at, first, you need to know how to define. Alright? After you define, you need to know how to explain. Okay? So let's do a quick recap. Okay? When you're thinking of price discrimination, under your definition, we always say it's the same good. Or I should say identical good. Right? And it's not due to cost differences. Okay? But when you explain price discrimination, you have to explain the conditions for price discrimination. The conditions are you need market power, right? So you need market power, that's one. Okay, for price discrimination, you need to be able to segment the market. Okay. PED is different. Price elasticity of demand differs. Okay? And resale across the markets. Okay, I have one seat here, and one seat there, one seat here, alright? Then there's one seat somewhere there in the middle also. Okay? Can? Okay? So in this case, it's about elasticity. Okay? Any questions? Okay. So after you explain, okay, for those who just came in, I'm answering or I'm addressing some of the questions that you all might have. The first one is, if there's an upcoming essay test on price discrimination, all right, how do you answer the question? So I started by telling you, if price discrimination was tested in part A, There's no balance, there's no antithesis, there's no evaluation, it's really just content and context, right? So under content, you have to define. Under definitions, you will see these things, okay? And in this case, we also have the conditions for price discrimination, okay? After you define it, you explain the conditions, you need to say which form of price discrimination. And I'll tell you, this is usually third degree, right? Usually third degree price discrimination. Okay, because I know there are a lot of points here to follow, I want to form an acronym. So as I was talking, I was trying to see whether we can come up with the acronym. Let me just rephrase this a little bit. The good is the same. Okay, I'm sorry if you have to make some changes to the definition. The cost is identical. Okay, so I can form this acronym. Okay, see ESPRIT good. ESPRIT-good. Okay, so you can think of it as ESPRIT-good. Okay, the order is not there, but at least you know there are so many points to address. 7 points altogether. Okay. So if you have a question on price discrimination, explain whether something is price discrimination. Do this. Okay. Questions? Okay, if there are no questions, okay, I still get a sense that, wow, this coming out in part A, maybe there isn't a lot to write, all right? And they give me 10 marks for this. It's a bit generous, okay? So what happens is that sometimes the preamble describes two pricing practices. Sometimes you have two different practices. Okay, so it could be a case where something is price discrimination, the other one is not price discrimination. Okay, so this is what happens when it is price discrimination. When something is not price discrimination, you just check against definition to show that something is not price discrimination. So you're gonna say, oh, the good is not the same, or the cost is different. Okay, either or would suffice. If you do both, of course I won't penalize you. Okay, but my understanding is that in RI, if they are trying to prove whether something is price discrimination, they just had to show one case.